Thanks for staying with us. Earlier this month, the Department of Justice released findings from a pattern and practice review of the Baltimore Police Department. The report uncovered countless occurrences of discriminatory and unjustifiable conduct that failed to meet the requirements of the Fourth Amendment. Tom, do any of these findings strike you as surprising?
Actually not. You know, I lived in Baltimore. Some time ago, this was in the 80s, I actually lived in the neighborhood that was kind of bordering, it was a black neighborhood. On one side it was white. I was right on the boundary line pretty much. And some of this does not surprise me at all, given the long history there. I think it's just confirming what a lot of people do know. And what people have been trying to say, you know, protest or whatever, it does really exist out there. And, you know, I witnessed some of that when I lived there, and you could feel the tension. But I feel for the police, you know, I mean, as the report also stated, they don't always have the training and the resources that they really could use. It's a stressful job, and they're not always prepared for it in a way they could be, I think. So there's a lot of issues involved here,
Mary,
but it's certainly true.
Do you think it's in training, or do you think it's in the caliber of candidate that we get to train?
I think it's a little bit of both, if I can say that. I mean, certainly there's some responsibility on the part of the people who are conducting the training, but you know, I think we can't really play the blame game here either. At some point you need to be held accountable for your own actions, and I think that this report unfortunately reveals, you know, I don't wish, you know, that it be true, but it seems like it is. I hope that this is a moment where we can become more unified, recognize the issues that exist, and then move forward instead of just becoming more divided. I think the timing of the release of this report is interesting, as the other charges a few months ago, I guess, or weeks ago, were dropped for the officers in the Freddie Gray case. You know, again, I just hope that it's a moment where we can unify and it doesn't cause additional uproar and upheaval in the city of Baltimore.
Jim, from what she said, Freddie Gray case was pretty much a rush to judgment by the state's attorney and by the grand jury. But then you come out, because we felt there wasn't justification for charging the police for what they, but then it comes out from the Department of Justice of all the problems. Does that surprise you at all?
So I was surprised. I was surprised by this finding. I guess I expected that it would exist on some level, because I think it exists everywhere at some level. In my heart of hearts, I wish it wouldn't exist to the level that we've uncovered here. But you know, to go back to why and what is the root cause of it, I wonder how much of it is generational. I wonder, you know, there's formal training and there's informal training. The formal training for many police, the majority of that happens before they join the force. But then they get a partner, they get others that are probably older than them and have been on the force longer, and if there is a disposition among those officers to be inclined to suspect and harass, for lack of a better term, African Americans or Latinos or others of color, is that passed on either directly or indirectly? I wonder about that.
I wonder about that too, but I was under the impression that a little over 50% of the Baltimore Police Department is comprised of minorities. Is that not? I mean, I thought that was so. I mean, even.
But you know, I mean, can minorities exhibit racist
I guess
behavior
so.
as well?
I mean, yes.
Again, you know, I don't think necessarily at the end of the day it's all about skin color. I think it's about attitude and approach. And if you've got it in your mind that the blacks and the Latinos and the you fill in the race are the ones that are committing all the crime, whether you are a black or a Latino or whatever, you might be predisposed to do some things that this report is all too clear about.
I have to be honest, when I first saw that this report was released and I watched some of the press conference with Stephanie Rawlings Blake and heard comments from Loretta Lynch, I was a little bit skeptical, to be honest. I was thinking, oh, I mean, the timing of it was just interesting and I felt like it was politicized. But when I actually read the report, I mean, it is scathing.
It is.
And it is pretty pretty ridiculous, and it seems to be very thorough too. That's another thing, that's why I was skeptical. I thought, well, they probably just, interviewed only the kind of people who would maybe not spin the truth, but just fudge it or something. But when I really read it, I mean, it's alarming.
It's way too detailed
Exactly.
to be completely or even substantially politically motivated, in my
Just not
opinion.
somebody's opinion.
No, it's
Right.
not.
It was, and that's what the Justice Department does, and I think it was wonderful. It's good that they did this. But I think it does speak to, some of the issues across the country that are, Baltimore is not unique.
That's like Wisconsin or Milwaukee, or there's none of those places unique, but it's we got some issues to deal with. Up next, this week's election update. Stay tuned.